Chaol and Selena literally had sex in a broom cupboard. I lost my mind. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and my video documentation of me reading the Throne of Glass series by Sarah J Maas for the very first time. In today's video, I'm going to discuss my thoughts, feelings and everything in between about book 2, Crown of Midnight. So a brief spoiler warning, if you haven't yet read Crown of Midnight nor the first book in the series Throne of Glass, please do not watch this video. I hope you guys can see just how much I am enjoying the series, and if you haven't yet read it, I want you guys to feel the same. So please go read the books and then come back and watch this video and we can cry together. Okay, now that's out of the way, let's talk about Crown of Midnight. One word. Chaol. So my last video I told you guys how much I did ship Chaol with Celaena, and boy, when they finally got together I was so happy. I feel like at the start of Crown of Midnight between these two it's such like a slow burn. You can tell they both really like each other but they both don't know if they like each other, and they're both like hoping the other one makes the first move. And then Celaena goes out with Archer and gets her arm sliced by Gloriella Poison. She's running back to the castle. She's about to pass out and lose complete control of her body. Where does she run to? Chaol's room. She collapses outside. He freaks out. It's such a mess. Chaol is literally distraught. He waits up with her all night while she's throwing up. He calls a healer. The next day she wakes up and realizes that she went to the safest place she knows. As you can imagine, about 4 chapters in, I was already in absolute state. And then you get Chaol and Selena dancing a waltz at the ball. So the reason both of them are actually attending the ball is because they are working as lookouts. They are working as, let's say, bouncers on the security door. Chaol then realizes that Celaena has left her post, goes out to find her. She's dancing alone. He asks her if she wants to dance with him. They waltz. She says it feels like she has finally come home, and I don't know, fast forward a few pages and Celaena is curled up on his sofa. She says she wants chocolate cake. He goes and gets her chocolate cake. Okay, let's get this straight. Dorian brings Celaena puppies and books while Chaol brings her chocolate cake. Where do I find men like this in real life, please? Celaena telling Dorian that, quote, we already have plans for Chaol's birthday, and Chaol is literally there like, do we? I know nothing about this. And she's planned a whole last surprise celebration, and then they finally kiss. The wheel comes full circle and I'm sat there with the biggest puppy grin on my face. For me, that scene at Chaol's birthday surprise was executed absolutely flawlessly. I really liked the back and forth banter between these two characters. I feel like Sarah wrote this scene really well. In terms of chemistry between characters in a YA book, it's one of the best ones I think I've ever read. I feel like normally with two strong characters, there is normally one who is a tiny bit more submissive and one that is a tiny bit more dominant, but I feel like Chaol and Celaena are just completely on level with each other. They are both giving it as hard as they can get in terms of insults and in terms of like flirting. I feel like they were just completely on par at this point in the story. Ugh, it's just so romantic. The assassin and the palace guard, and then they go and have lots of sex. I will say that I did find it quite funny that while all this steamy business is going on between Celaena and Chaol, Dorian is just there having like a complete mental breakdown because he doesn't know why he's magic. He's there literally freaking out about his magical abilities while his best mate and former crush shag their way around the castle. And then it all goes so wrong. Nehemia is brutally slaughtered and it is inadvertently Chaol's fault. So I'll go back to Nehemia in a minute, but the reason why her death was partly Chaol's fault is because he ignored all the signs that she was in danger because he was too busy having sex with Celaena. So although Chaol wasn't actually the one to kill Nehemia, the fact that he did play a part in her death in some way and that he could have in fact prevented it if he only told Celaena about the anonymous threat on Nehemia's life, it totally reminds me of the Gale, Primrose and Katniss situation in Mockingjay. So cover your ears if you haven't yet read the Hunger Games trilogy, but for all you guys that have, you will remember that in Mockingjay it is actually one of Gale's warships that goes into the capital, bombs the capital's children, and then bombs the medics who go to help the casualties, one of them being in fact Prim. Back to Crown of Midnight, and it was literally like a switch had been flipped. I suddenly saw Chaol in 50 Shades of Wrong. My god, I was such a fool! There I was thinking that Chaol saw the real side of Celaena. I thought he understood her totally and completely, and then he goes and says shit like the Celaena I once knew was gone. Honestly, when he threw her in the dungeon, I just lost it. Fuck KO. Honestly, I had such high hopes for him. I feel like Dorian didn't really like understand and wanted to ignore Celaena's reality of being an assassin, and I honestly thought KO understood that, but I think he was just obsessed with like the glamour of it and the fact that he could just like semi-relate to trying to protect one person. But let's be real, the protection that KO and his men offer the king, and Celaena being orphaned and having to grow up and fend for herself by killing others, is a damn sight different. So I think when reality hit and KO finally saw the real side of Celaena, this is even before he sees her in her Fae form, I think the penny finally dropped and he realised just how different they really were. Anyway, moving on from KO and going back to Nehemia. Honestly, I was just distraught when she died and I just didn't see it coming. But Archer hiring Grave to kill Nehemia, I was not expecting that. That was such a huge curveball. But also Grave killing Nehemia because he was bitter about how Celaena humiliated him in the tournament. Ugh, men are the worst. Why is their ego like this? But Celaena walking into the council meeting with Grave's head, just like flinging it and throwing it around. Oh my god, the best scene ever. Prince Dorian. So after KO pulled that stunt, I was literally like, I'm sick of these half-ass men. But my friend told me not to lump Dorian in with KO, that Dorian was actually a great character on his own. And then shortly after I finished Crown of Midnight, I kind of knew why she had said that. Unlike KO, Dorian actually calls out the king on his bullshit. Going against his father to write a letter of sorrow and of apology to Nehemia's parents, and just literally calling out his dad for every piece of crap that comes out of his mouth. Honestly, the kid is the heir to the throne and he still does more than KO does in terms of putting him in his place. I feel like now he has surpassed his like groveling over Celaena stage. He's actually developed into a really good character. He's got a lot more depth to him and I am really excited to read more about Dorian in the next few books. And now, on to Celaena herself, or as we now know, Aelin. So heads up, I will still be referring to Aelin as Celaena because currently where I am in Heir of Fire, she hasn't really accepted that she is Aelin and she is still going by the name of Celaena. So I feel like until she fully accepts that she is Aelin, the lost princess, she still very much feels like Celaena to me. So one of my personal favourite Celaena highlights in Crown of Midnight is when KO is captured and she goes to free him and she literally scales walls and just like sneakily slides in and just like obliterates everyone in her path. I was living for it. Another moment I really liked is when Celaena goes to the fair and she ends up talking to that really creepy witch. Honestly, the fight between these two characters was just like so well written. I do want to quickly pick up on the fact that Sarah J Maas used a Slavic folklore motif in the character of the witch here. So if you guys know anything about Russian folklore, one of the popular characters in Slavic folklore is called Baba Yaga. So she is like a ferocious old woman or a ferocious old witch that lives in a hut on chicken legs. Obviously this creepy old witch is called Yellowlegs, but some more similarities between this character and the figure of Baba Yaga is that many characters in Slavic folklore in fact seek out Baba Yaga for her wisdom, similar to how Celaena went to the fair to talk to Yellowlegs about what she knew about the word marks. Sometimes Baba Yaga is portrayed as a cannibal, like how she was with Celaena, and other times she is portrayed as a supernatural maternal figure, like how she was with Dorian. Okay, Russian folklore lesson over. Celaena ending up in the clock tower after walking through the hidden catacombs under the library and the creature that lives in these catacombs, it reminded me a lot of season 1 American Horror Story when Dr. Montgomery tried to bring his dismembered child back to life by just like sewing them back together. That is literally what I thought this creature looked like. Okay, the last few chapters. So as soon as Celaena told Dorian that she was going to rest, I was like, I know you are not going to rest. I know exactly where you were going. And I was correct. Celaena goes down to see our good friend Mort, the weird talking door knocker. Celaena opening a door to another world just so she can see Nehemia. And Nehemia is there, like what? This scene was actually really sad and I just wasn't prepared for the amount of sadness in this bit. And then another monster comes out of the door and the only way that Celaena can shut it is if she uses the word marks in this book. Archer just grabs the book and fucking bolts. Why is he the worst character ever? Step in Dorian and KO who come to help Celaena Selena. All seems to be going okay. They are so near to escaping, and then Fleetfoot runs into the portal and Chaol runs after her. The whole thing is absolute chaos. A small side note here, Chaol protecting Fleetfoot with his bare hands. He did win back a considerable amount of brownie points with me here. I still low-key really like these two together, and come on, he literally ran after her dog for her. And then suddenly, Selena runs through the portal, she shifts, and it's revealed she is Faye. God! Low-key, I kind of expected this. I kind of assumed she was descended from Faye, but it was still a shock to actually read it on the page. Then she goes to kill Archer for what he did to Nehemia. You think she's gonna let him go, and then he says, I knew you were a good woman. She turns around in slow motion and she drives the dagger through his heart and says, no, I'm not, but Nehemia was. For me, this scene and Chaol's birthday scene were the two best written scenes in the book. So at the end of the book, Chaol sends Selena to Wendlin because he thinks she will be safest there. But I'm not sure that I want to read a book that isn't set in the castle with these two boys and Selena. I particularly liked Selena's farewell with Dorian. I feel like these two are in a really good place. They have a nice mutual understanding of what the hell is going on with this magic, and I feel like they've both gained back the respect they have for each other after the whole like weird dating thing in Throne of Glass. But Selena's farewell with Chaol broke my heart. Obviously, I understand why nothing can ever be the same between these two, but you can tell that they both still love each other so much. Am I an idiot for feeling like there might still be hope for these two? Chaol then goes back to the castle, goes straight to Selena's room, and he finally works out who she is. She is Aelin, the lost princess of Terrazan. For all you Shadowhunters fans out there, this gave me big Kit Harington being the lost heir vibes. I'd already low-key figured out that she was in fact Aelin, but I was still sat there reading these last couple of pages like my mouth was completely wide open, like in shock. Okay, that's the end of my Crown of Midnight review. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed me freaking out about everything in the second book. I'm realizing just how foolish I was literally like a week ago when I read Throne of Glass. Give this video a like if you have enjoyed it, and remember to subscribe if you haven't already. Please also go follow me on my Bookstagram account. I'm trying to make some more content for it, like some reels, so it would be great if you guys joined me on there as well. Thank you to everyone that watched my first Throne of Glass review. If you haven't watched it yet, I will leave a link in the description below, and also a massive thank you because no one gave me any spoilers. So I'll see you guys next time for my discussion on book 3, Heir of Fire. And I remember seeing this TikTok, and someone had made Taylor Swift playlists for every pairing in Throne of Glass, and I saw the Selena and Chaol one, and at this point they hadn't got together yet, and Death by 1,000 Cuts was on it, so I just assumed this meant that they did get together but they didn't stay together. They had like a nice passionate relationship and the breakup was really hard, but now I realise it's because Selena, she literally cuts his face in an attempt to kill him, and that's why they put Death by 1,000 Cuts in that playlist.